We may not. It may just be one of those days where the stream just doesn't go anywhere. And sometimes it's like that. But we're going to try again. We're having a little fireside stream here. Not very usual that you get to do one of these at this time of the year, but we have been blessed this February with some warm days towards the end. Hallelujah. So come on, join the stream, hit the like. Spooky indeed, the ward. Don't you think it's got a little bit of a spooky vibe to it? But yeah, I figure we've got lots of things to talk about today. I think we'll, as usual, try to encourage some people to come in. We'll let some people get in here before we really get into it all. What's up, Pink Fur? What's up, the ward? Hello, make sure you guys hit that like button. You know what to do. But yeah, we'll wait for some people to get in here before we really get into it all. We'll probably have to go over some points that we already went over in the earlier stream, but, the algorithm didn't pick that one up, so we're going to see if it picks this one up. The black screen of doom and despair and everything unfair. It shouldn't be black. The screen should be, filled with my wind-blown hair. My counter-argument was that plants can sense like your phone, but they don't have a brain or real experience of life like animals. How do you know? Oh, you fucker. Come on. God damn it. And I bet I didn't fucking... God damn it. No! Please. Oh, God. Say it ain't so, dude. You gotta be kidding me. Ain't that a... It is. It was working just fine like 10 minutes ago, but now it's not working. Oh, well. Miami Cubans? Yeah. I mean, according to the news, Miami Cubans tried to invade the sovereign nation of Cuba by setting off from Miami in a speedboat with a private military company. So, yeah. So it seems to me like the United States government is trying its best to come up with some kind of pretext for war with Cuba. And if I'm not wrong, that is exactly what this operation was meant to do. I think that I think that the reason why it's not like some actual branch of the US military or something like that is to give them plausible deniability, because they see they didn't establish enough manufactured consent with the Venezuela operation. They didn't have any like inciting incident. They need an inciting incident, and I believe they are trying to engineer one by hiring some like ragtag group of Miami Cubans to go down there with AK-47s and try to fucking take the place over. I think that the administration is going to jump on this tomorrow, and I think that we're all going to be told that this was a humanitarian boat. We're going to be told that the Cuban like counterpart to the Coast Guard, like the Cuban version of the Coast Guard, basically fired on them first, and that they retaliated in self-defense. I guarantee you that's going to be the narrative. I fully expect that to be the narrative. Make sure you guys hit and like that. Make sure you guys hit that like button. By the way, if half of you guys did it right now, that'd be 75 likes. Hold on, I'll mute so you guys don't have to listen to it. Man, that is loud. I'm sure it was some randos who got into some BS. I'm not actually sure. I am reasonably certain that this was a covert operation by some branch of the American military or intelligentsia to create a totally artificial reason why we need to invade Cuba. Random people hardly ever form mock militaries. There's always financial incentive from the ruling class. That's another good thing to bring up. Even if this was some ragtag group of Cubans who just decided to do it, I guarantee you they did not just decide to do it. There is some moneyed interest behind this. Cuba is not like a resource-rich nation. There's a reason why they're struggling so hard in the absence of Venezuelan oil. It's because they don't have like a ton of their own oil, okay? So, the reason why we want Cuba has nothing to do with us wanting resources. In this case, it's all about geopolitical strategy. We want an additional military base close to our own shores. We want to turn Cuba into an American tourist destination because right now it's a major international tourist destination, but the main people who go to Cuba for international tourism are not Americans because like we've got this like bellicose relationship with Cuba. Well, I think the ruling classes wanted to change that for about 60 years. My evidence for that stretches all the way back to the Bay of Pigs. Cuba is rich with culture, their resources love. Exactly. And I think the American ruling classes wanted to capitalize on that for years and years and years. They're only just now finding a series of justifications that they think are strong enough to allow them to invade Cuba and install their own government. Also, I don't think he's nearly been far enough removed from Epstein in any real sense and not a step down. However, I'd rather have him than any current Democrat. Well, here's the thing about the current Democratic Party. You are watching a party in its death throes. I'm not kidding. The Democratic Party right now is going through a massive schism. There are people that are actually on the left that want to see the Democratic Party become a party of progressivism, that actually fights for what it believes in, that doesn't merely accept what it's told, that has some balls, in other words. And then there's the moderate wing of the party that insists that the problem with ICE is not that they're an unnecessary institution whose duties are uh, redundant in our government bureaucracy, but rather that its tactics have just become a little mean over the last couple of years, and that we should really rein that back. The moderate Democrats represent a dying tendency of American centrism that I think will be subsumed by the Republican Party by the time we see the 2032 election cycle roll around. I think that the 2032 election cycle will most likely be between a new progressive party and a recombined Republican Democrat Party. Because if you didn't know, the current two parties are literally they're not just a uniparty in function and form, they're a uniparty by their history. The Democrats and the Republicans both trace their history back to the Democrat Republican Party. And I think that that's why you can't think of any current Democrat that you would accept as president, because what current Democrat is actually fighting for the people? What current Democrat, leadership included, is actually making arguments that would benefit working class people or pushing for policies that would benefit working class people? So you're saying there's hope? Yes. Yes. More important than hope, though, is action. Hope is hope is an opiate that you would do well to use sparingly. Hope blinds us to real possibilities and binds us to unlivable situations. I'm not yapping. It physically is the only thing that makes sense. The government collapsed financially, and the country was on physical verge of ruin. And since we put ourselves on such a national stage, what you talking about? I'm not 100% sure what point you're trying to make. With World War One, our internal collapse during those turbulent times would have meant an invasion. I have no idea. I feel like you're so many layers deep into the point you're trying to make that I have no idea what you're even talking about anymore. Good luck, though. So yeah, it seems like the United States is trying to come up with a pretext for war with Cuba. I guarantee you, tomorrow we're going to be told by the administration that this was a humanitarian boat that only fired in self-defense. Why my comment gets skipped? Trans is fire. I don't. You didn't. You missed one. Oh God. Okay. Mississippi doesn't exist. The river was a lie the whole time. And I don't think he's nearly been far enough removed from Epstein. But I also personally believe that, quite honestly, ever since the Great Depression, private equity and therefore private investors fund and run the government. Everyone we see daily is just representative. Oh, well, yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, literally. Moneyed interests have been running the government since, I wouldn't say since World War One. I think it's actually been a lot more recent than that. The New Deal was an example of the United States government actually going directly in the face of what big business wanted them to do and what a lot of small businesses wanted them to do. Because pretty much everybody that was a business owner remained pretty much somewhat successful throughout the Great Depression. The people who were hit hardest by the Great Depression were everyday workers and the smallest scale of small business owners. So people that just ran small restaurants and food carts and shit like that. Um, Cottage industry people, farmers, like the fucking average businessman remained just fine. He might have been destitute in theory, but he'd set himself up so well in the interim, in the lead up to the fucking Great Depression, that most business people survived the Great Depression just fine. And they wanted pro-business policies to continue in America. They basically wanted America to have to like dig and claw its way out of the Depression. It was only the socialist influence of people like Franklin Delano Roosevelt that allowed America to dig itself out of the Great Depression against the will of the ruling class. Yes, but either way, the money was drying up and was becoming worth less on the national scale. The main people I'm talking about are the same people that have the money still. Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't know that I disagree with you. I just don't think that they achieved complete corporate control of the United States government. I don't think they achieved complete capture until like the 60s or 70s. Your chromosomes don't lie. You can't tell shit about my chromosomes just by looking at me. There are all kinds of different makeups of the two sex chromosomes that we typically see in human beings. Sometimes people even have three. Do you know that? Trades will always stay consistent. That's why I'm finishing carpentry school to be a carpenter and also learn masonry. AI will never replace hard skill trades. Eh, don't say never. Don't say never. But your job will last a lot longer than, oh, I don't know. Well, take factories, for example. There are already tons of factories that functionally run without human beings. The only reason why people are there are to do a few specific maintenance tasks. A lot of factories that don't run like that could run like that. They just don't because there's like currently a very strong incentive to keep people hired and to maintain the current framework of capitalism, where you've got this giant working class of people that um, get paid varying wages to do varying levels of work. It keeps people busy. It keeps people distracted, and I don't think they really want to transfer to some other way of living that might like even the keel a little bit or something like that. Because I think a lot of them don't really have any real plans, and a lot of them like legit like don't believe in the continuation of the world beyond a certain point. So Jesus, you are lying to yourself. Wake up. Dude, I'm sure that type of shit makes sense when it's said to you because you're probably like really deeply insecure about your identity and who you are and what you are. But when people say shit like that to me, I'm just like, man, what a deranged schizoid thing to fucking say. Like, the audacity of thinking you have any fucking right to tell another person how they should live or whether or not their way of life is actually valid when it's not hurting you and could not hurt you is laughable to me. Not secure at all, happily with Jesus in my life. Freudian slip. You're not secure at all. I agree. It was a little Freudian slip there, wasn't it? You have a face that fits every era. I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but I feel like it is one. Wrong is not an argument. You have to actually like provide me something with a little bit of meat on the bone that I can respond to. Like wrong is not actually an argument in and of itself. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that. Jesus Christ is Lord. It is. Okay, well, how about this? It's not a compelling argument. I guess it is technically an argument, but it's not compelling. Speaking of meat on the bone, raising livestock requires huge amounts of water, feed, and land. Okay, so we're gonna have the veganism debate. I take it. You've been right, like really campaigning at this, and I get the feeling you might have been watching for a while, and you've been trying to spring this one on me for a minute. I'm not 100% sure on that, and I'm not going to check your channel activity to make sure. I'm sure you'll tell me that this is the first time you've been in here. But if you really want to have the veganism argument, let's do it. Yes, raising livestock requires all of those things. So does raising crops. Next. Phoebe doing outdoor nomadic activities tonight. Don't connect it to my fucking nomad backstory, man. You'll just make me sit here and tell all fucking ghost stories about my time on the road. And I need to be writing those down, not fucking talking them out loud to you guys. You are not vegan, clearly? Well, obviously not. Obviously fucking not. No, someone wants to argue with me about veganism, but like they're the vegan. 55,000 UAW factory workers, you are wrong on your factory rant? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, okay, so because there's 55,000 UAW workers, that means that factories aren't getting automated. Oh my God, you need to look up what UAW membership was in the 1960s. I'm not kidding. Look at what the Union of Auto Workers membership was back in the 1960s. We can have two arguments if you guys want to. I'm third generation UAW douche. Well, then you should fucking know that UAW membership was way the fuck higher 50 fucking years ago before the era of automation fully took hold. That's 55,000 voluntary prisoners. You are retarded, Shane Mergella. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. A union is the only way that you get any effective representation in a workplace. It's the only way that you get any fucking meat from your employer that isn't fucking cut out for you by the bosses and shareholders. It's the only way you get a fucking seat at the table. You ain't in a union, not only are you not working for yourself, but you're getting exploited harder than anybody else in the marketplace if you ain't in a union. We still have 55,000 union members in America, $48 an hour. Okay, well, do you need me to look it up, or should one of my mods? Like, can someone provide me UA? Oh my God, I need a bot, dude. YouTube needs to introduce a feature since everybody's doing AI now, and Google already has an AI. They need to introduce a feature where on a vertical live stream on your mobile phone, you can just say, you know, uh, hey Gemini, what is, and I should just be able to get this and get it as an answer in my chat. But can someone find me UAW membership numbers from 1965? Let's go exactly 60 years ago. Are you white? I mean, right now I'm red. The work they do isn't worth 48 an hour. It's actually worth more than that, but that's what they can scalp off the fucking corporation without the corporation throwing a big hissy fit. I'm a union member of the UAW. I work at a diecast factory making engine blocks. Okay. Hands on right. Okay, Mr. Ouncer. I'm interested in having this argument with you, just like I'm interested in having the argument with the vegan. But I'm gonna need you to look up the information for me, or have someone in chat do it, or something, because like I don't know, dude. You, as a member of a fucking union that works directly in this industry, should know better than anybody. Like, like leaders of your union have talked about automation and the effect it's having on the industry and the advances that have been made with it. I do like your channel because you're usually up for healthy debate. Yeah, and I am tonight. I mean, there's just lots of chats going on, and I think there's like two threads of argument going on right now. There's like the veganism conversation and the union conversation, and I'm not sure exactly which one is going to be taken up. When my dad worked at GM in the 70s, the membership was around 200,000. Okay, yeah, exactly. So let's say the 70s. Let's just take the 70s as our baseline because the 70s is far back enough that automation hadn't taken hold yet. So in that time, you guys have experienced a 75% decrease in membership. Why? Sure, a little bit of it is from jobs getting sent overseas, but a lot of it was jobs getting replaced with automation. That trend is going to continue. There will eventually be a robot that is figured out that can do your job. Everybody in the history of ever who has ever had their job replaced by a robot once said, nobody could do this job but me. And I'm not even trying to say that to talk shit. I'm not trying to be a douchebag. I'm just letting you know it's something people need to be aware of. And it's one of the reasons why we need to start talking about widening the social safety net, expanding our social safety net, and adopting some new policies that might help us survive these changing tides. According to Gemini, over 1.4 million UAW members in the US in the 1960s. Today, there's 400,000 active UAW workers. So, yeah, that's still like an over 75% decline. I mean, that's just like a crazy amount of decline. And yeah, some of that, like I said, is from outsourcing or from factories opening up that don't hire union auto workers. That's part of the reason why car factories started opening up in the Deep South, is because there's way less unionization down there. Um, Ironic, right? They open up factories in the north, a bunch of people from the south move up there, and then after the fucking like economy changes like a little bit of after the economy has a little bit of a shake and jiggle, then the trend reverses. Just funny. Um but like part of that too is because like this automation trend has like continued to influence the way all sorts of manufacturing processes are done, and as a result there are less jobs in all kinds of industries than there used to be. There's going to continue to be less jobs in these industries than there used to be. Now obviously, like this whole conversation, this part of the conversation started because I responded to somebody saying that a trade was a secure job on the long run. And I was like, yeah, I mean, for your lifetime it is, but eventually, like, even tradespeople should be worried about like AI eventually replacing their job. Maybe not AI, but robotics. It won't be long before we have some kind of robot that is capable of being taught through machine learning how to be a carpenter. There'll be robots in apprenticeships before I die. I'm sure of it. My buddy is switching from building cars to building robots at the Tesla factory. Get ready. I mean, I keep telling people this, and there's a lot of people that aren't ready to hear it. Even people that ostensibly should agree with me on a lot of stuff, like this union brother that's talking to me about, like saying I'm wrong about factories and how a lot of them can already be automated. They just aren't because like there's this like incentive structure to keep people around. Now, there are obviously tons of jobs that can't be automated yet, that haven't been automated yet. Like My point was not that all jobs are like my point was not that all jobs in all factories are already automated and they're only keeping factories around with people in them to provide jobs. My point is that there's some of that going on, but that there is a trend that you can observe there. And that we should, like, if we can predict its outcomes, we should fucking try to plan around it. This is like a scene from Stand By Me. I've always felt like this had a very Stand By Me kind of vibe, so I'm glad you appreciate that and notice it yourself. By the way, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button, I really would appreciate it. It helps the stream a ton. I cannot reiterate to you enough how much it helps the stream. Why would a robot need an apprenticeship? Wouldn't they just download the knowledge? No, like that's the thing. You couldn't, I don't think, effectively program. Here's the thing: it wouldn't. Okay, you could probably program a robot to build houses already with existent technology. You could probably do that, and it could probably do it, but it would be like one specific blueprint, right? And it would have to be painstaking. It would have to have all of those steps painstakingly programmed into it. What would be way more efficient would be to use a machine learning model, program essentially an artificial intelligence that is capable of learning specifics about this thing. And you obviously are going to also program it with like specific parameters as to like its behavior and what it does, and certain aspects of the job that like could in theory remain constant. Like I'm sure there is a scientifically proper speed at which one should swing a hammer, for example. I'm sure there is a scientifically proper pressure that one should exert against the screw when screwing it in, or something like that. And these things could obviously be programmed in from the get go, but you wouldn't want to program in like the manual programming and steps of going through like a blueprint and all the different technical steps and all that shit. Like that just doesn't make any sense, because at that point you've got a robot that can build one specific kind of house, probably in one specific geography. What you really need is an army of robots that can learn to build anything that you put in front of them, that can learn to be a to be a hand at any job. Phoebe, do tell at least one ghost/spirit story in this stream. Oh man, I'll try to think of one. There would have to be a different robot for each task, whereas a human could do all the tasks. Nope. That's why I'm saying that it would employ machine learning. That's why I'm saying that this like futuristic carpenter bot would employ machine learning, because that way it could learn all the different tasks. Low-key slopopotamus is so funny. Wait, what? Slopopotamus. That is kind of funny. All right. Where's the banjo? In Missouri. We have pipe fitters, electronics, die setters, die makers at my factory. They're all skilled trade union brothers. They make around $80 an hour. No, I'm not doubting you. Once again, I think you've misunderstood my argument. My argument is not that all factories are currently just like wastes of space that are paying people too much to do work that can be done better by a robot. My point is that robots are replacing more and more factories, replacing more and more factory jobs, and that there are factories that do exist that, in my opinion, could be fully automated with existent technology that aren't, because it's too expensive right now, or because there's like an economic incentive to keep people employed in a certain region or something like that, right? But I think that there are plenty of factories that doesn't apply to. Like, I feel like you're reading a bit of a black and white into this that doesn't actually exist. There's more nuance in the things that I'm saying than what you're attributing to them, I feel. Would they be able to use all the different tools, though, from saws to hammers and nail guns, screws? Well, that's the thing. I think that if you built a robot like this, you would probably program it to be able to do all of those basic tasks, like from the get-go. Like there are tons of things. Like I said, there is probably a scientifically perfect speed at which to swing a hammer. It would be programmed in with that from the beginning. There is like a specific way you would want to program the like holding of the nail and the swinging of the hammer and all that, right? But like you program some of these basic universal tasks that can be used on any job depending on the context and need, and then you let the finer points of individual builds be developed by the machine learning brain. You let it program the robot so it can, spend 2 months down in the Southwest building houses in Arizona, but then it can go learn how to build houses in Missouri, and then it goes learn how to build houses in Florida and Louisiana. And by the time a year is over, this one little robot has not only like provided its own value, worth, and labor, but is now able to instantly go build homes in either of those climates. Not obviously by itself, but it can help as part of a crew. I think there would always be at least a foreman there to direct the robot workers, but once again, all this shit is something that's probably not going to happen for another 150 years. They probably won't even experiment with this shit on a mass scale until I'm an old woman. I'll be an old granny in my chair before I ever see a mass test of this technology. There's also hundreds of different kinds of nails and screws, hardware, and tools. That's the thing, though. AI excels best at going through giant data sets and extrapolating necessary information for the context needed. It's actually just another reason why it might actually be better at many of these tasks than a human might be. I think humans and robots would work hand in hand for maximum efficiency. Yes, they definitely would. They definitely would. What's going on? Not much. Just sitting here chilling by the fire. Someone asked me to tell a ghost story earlier, and I don't know if I have any ghost stories for him. I really just don't know. I do know that I need to get more wood for the fire. So you guys are going to have to come with me on a little mission to get wood for the fire. And there's going to be another train, too. I can hear it whistling down the rails. Okay. That's a nice big chunk. That'll do. That'll do. Yeah, hear it? You hear that train a-comin'. It's rolling around the bend. Do 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 do. Oh. God damn it. God, I'm retarded. I really wish I'd remembered to fucking buy some goddamn lighters earlier. Because this one is dead. Deader than dead. Dead as dead gets. Man, that's fucking sad. Poop. Well, I refuse to be down here with no smoke, so I guess we're just gonna have to fucking. I love my life sometimes. Okay, we're gonna have to just like go up to the house, I guess, to go get a lighter because that one's not gonna come on for nothing. Don't know how much longer we have left. Phone battery's only at 23%, so probably not long. But I'll be damned if I'm gonna sit around with no fucking smoke. That just does not sound like a fun time to me. I don't know if it sounds like a fun time to you, but if it does, you might consider the fact that you're boring. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to like the smoke, but it does help. Alrighty, we're getting close now. I think I might. Oh. Oh, shit. Okay. Why does my phone always look like that after I go outside? So, I will be right back. I'm going to go grab me a couple cigarettes and find me a lighter and use the bathroom. You're never going to guess what I found. Alrighty. So, oh no. Come on, don't do that. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about the ear rape. Alrighty. Alrighty. Weird how much how much light my hand reflects. Alrighty. Okay. Getting close. Okay. Got a few sticks to throw on the fire as we go over, because that just makes good logical sense. There's not that much wood left. In fact, we have almost none. At least now we have a lighter. And cigs. Alrighty. Alrighty, is that person that wanted to have the veganism debate still here? Is that vegan still here? I want to talk to them. What is that? What is what? My left, it looks like. That's a shame. I was actually kind of looking forward to having having that little talk with them, seeing where it went. Oh well, they went to water the plants. Yeah, that sounds about right. I guess they left me to my murder sandwiches. That's fine. What are your pronouns? She, her, hers. Need marshmallows? Not in this fire, I don't. I burned lots of trash in this fire pit. As long as you're just burning cardboard, that is actually a better, more safe, like if you've got the ability to burn like spare cardboard, as long as you take the styrofoam and plastic and shit out of it first, that is a way better way to dispose of it than letting it go to a landfill. Because yes, it does pollute a little bit when it causes the smoke, but so does it when it turns into a landfill. It's just a matter of the pollution being more widely distributed, and you distribute it way more widely by burning it. I just ordered onion rings and mac and cheese like a pleb and paid like $40 with the fees. I am trapped in capitalism because I like snacks. You have to be stronger than that. You have to learn how to make your own snacks at home. You can even food prep them. Dude, there are so many fucking things that people just don't even think about or know because they're just not, you know, they weren't raised to think about it like that. Maybe I should do a series on my channel at some point. Like, when I've got a better setup, I can do a series like, here's how to cook and prep food if you're stuck on DoorDash and don't know how to make stuff like that at home. Are you camping? Nope. Nope. I'm just in my backyard. Just in my backyard. But yeah, what do we want to talk about, y'all? I should be asleep, but I'm not. People love. I've heard this a bunch lately. People love to procrastinate putting off their sleep with my channel. I love it. I'm a professional chef. LOL. I'm just weak. That's funny. You're like the second professional chef that has, for some reason, attached themselves to my channel. I like that. I don't know what it is about like people that know food that I attract. I don't feel like I talk about food all that often, but you guys are cool. But yeah, in your case, you know how to avoid it if you want to. What becomes of the Mountain West in a hypothetical civil war? Um, it becomes a battlefield. I'll tell you that much. The Mountain West is basically the gateway to the West Coast, and the West Coast currently has a lot of economic development. Even in the event of a civil war, a national divorce, or something like that, LA is still going to be a big city that people are going to want to move to. Hollywood's still going to be there. There's some institutions and organizations I don't think would leave the West Coast for any money. But the mountain states, while they are not strategically useful in terms of like their existent industry, there are lots of resources in the mountain states, even to this day. And they are also, like I said, strategically useful for there being a sort of like geological boundary between the true West and the Midwest. We like realness and spicy behavior / takes. Hey, you definitely get that with me. It's the bold yet elegant combo. Yeah, that makes sense. That does it. That fits. Oh, you have TDS, bro. You are literally responding to a fucking headline that has been in the fucking title, and nobody's been talking about it because we moved on to other things. But if you want to talk Trump, we can. If you want to talk about your diseased, dementia-addled fucking warlord in chief, we can. Yeah, R.I.P. Denver, Boise, and Salt Lake. Yeah, definitely. R.I.P. most of New Mexico too, because a giant chunk of New Mexico is taken up by big testing facilities and a giant like testing range and shit. So there's like a giant military asset in New Mexico that both sides or all three sides of any potential civil conflict like that would want access to. That deadly swagger, TDS. I know, right? I got that deadly swagger. Trump is the third coming of Jesus Christ. What? The third coming? Why is the left so pissed at the men's USA hockey team? I think because they partied with Kash Patel, FBI director, who claimed that his trip to Italy was just business related, but it turns out he was like there to party with the fucking men's hockey team. And their presence at the State of the Union kind of indicates that they're probably all like Trump loyalists and shit. And it's just not. Nobody likes to see Trump loyalism right now. I'm sorry, it's just not a good look. Should I bounce out of the mountains before it becomes a Wild West again? Not until things start to get really hairy, or not until it looks like things are about to get hairy. I don't think like Paul says that there's like some big upsurge. I think that like the upsurge he's detecting is like a few politicians talking about it out of frustration. I don't think that there's any legitimate political will set towards the idea of a national divorce or a civil war. I think that the real Civil War is kind of like, I think we've been living through a cold Civil War since the beginning of Trump's massive, like, public ICE campaign, using them basically as his, like, private Gestapo army to fuck with blue cities and destabilize blue regions. I think we've been in kind of a soft Civil War for a while now, and the problem is that it's like the federal government versus, like, blue states, and blue states are no longer like it's not like blue states are analogous to the Union, because the Union was one contiguous piece of land. The blue states are all scattered around. There's some in the Midwest, there's some in the Northeast, there's some in the West Coast. Thank you for the flower. I hear about national divorce in local conversations and from talking heads on all the major news channels. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think there's any real political will for it among the like ruling class. I think it's mostly a position born out of frustration, but it might happen. I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to keep your eyes on it. You should definitely keep your eyes on it and stay tuned for updates because it may get hairy. There is some interest in it. Free the world from Israel. Israel's greatest threat to U.S. sovereignty. Well, I actually tend to agree. I don't know if you're expecting me to disagree, but I think that currently the main reason why the U.S. has such a hard time progressing politically is because it's because of the complex, interconnected network of moneyed interests, both Israeli and American, and the intertwined interests that have become dominant in our political class. Unfortunately, another free soul has fallen victim to the mainstream media propaganda machine. Huh? Yeah, I wouldn't be wanting a world war if I were you. Your side all looks like you. Can't even march. Bro, you have never stepped foot outside your house if you think the fucking average American, whose overall opinions I tend to agree with pretty closely, looks like me. You realize that progressivism is a growing and dominant movement. In fact, in reaction to Trump's awful fuck ups over the last year, progressivism has been seeing an upsurge. Progressive ideas have been seeing an upsurge in support. I can't believe when nobody has super chatted tonight. That is crazy. Let's see. What are these hidden messages? You mean a bunch of cucks and betas gathering together? Care to translate that into English for those of us not in the know? Hey. In this sativa hybrid, whatever's on hand, a bunch of weak-minded simpletons who are easily controlled and told how to be and who to act. I don't know, man. Sounds like MAGA to me. I remember when beta was like processor speak and it was a good thing. Yeah, me too. The good old days. How gone they are. Well, I guess we'll probably head back in the trailer here in a minute. It is getting rather late. I don't know, man. I feel like we didn't really end up getting to most of the topics that I had in the title, but sometimes that's just how the stream goes. You don't always get a perfectly productive night where you get to capture every moment. Everybody's human. Civil discussion exposes a lot of shared goals, dreams, and views. Oh, I totally agree. That's why I'm such an advocate for it. I also think uncivil discussion has that effect, which is something some people disagree with me on. But I'm perfectly fine with the discussion going from civil to uncivil, back to civil. I think conversation is what makes the difference. I think what kind of conversation is less important than the fact that you had the conversation at all. But you should try to be diplomatic. If you can be. If you got it in you. Well, energy vampires are real, though, so be mindful when engaging with difficult people. Well, yeah. I mean, don't overly engage with someone who seems specifically interested in just pissing you off. I mean, that's why I have grown to be pretty, choosy with who I do and don't engage with in here. And that's why a lot of times when I do engage with someone that's just, obliquely hateful, that's why I only do it, once or twice. Because I am pretty skilled at telling when someone is an honest interlocutor versus someone who's mostly just trying to piss people off. And there are lots of those people these days. Lots of them. Many such cases. Well, let's get our asses inside before the phone dies. Whew. Shame we have to leave the fire, but it is about to rain. It's been kind of spitting raindrops here and there for a while now. But, I think it's about to actually rain. So, not only that, but the phone is dying. And when a phone's battery dies, power to the circuitry is lost, which causes its functions to cease. And that means the stream dies while I frantically get it plugged in and hatefully smoke a cigarette while I wait for it to charge back up. I want to avoid that outcome if we can. So we're going to move this little party into the office. Okay. Oh, okay. Disembark all the shit out of my pockets finally. Oh shit. What's up, Digital KO? Okay. Well, how is everybody? We made it. We survived. Gross? What's gross? What's up, Digital XO? Yeah. Another day in this reality. I know. Isn't it tragic? We all wish we could wake up in Hyrule one day, but we never do. You know why I think Hyrule would actually be a pretty cool place to end up? Because the only people who were ever really seriously endangered, as near as I can tell, in a Zelda game, are the main characters. Can you think of a single Zelda game where an NPC dies? Where an actual NPC, where a non-story character dies? I can't think of any. If they're humanoid, they live. Although it's actually kind of a flaw of writing of the series if you think about it, because like realistically, there should occasionally be an NPC or like a story important, or like, I'm sorry, a story non important character that dies. You ever hit anyone? If so, what's the weirdest situation where you had to pop somebody? I don't know. I have to think about it. I definitely have had to hit people before, though. I have to think about it, though. Is he going to get to a gym soon? Who are you talking about? I need to check out your national divorce debate. Yeah, it's on the DFF channel. Just search Deep Fat Pride. Don't all the characters stay alive through like different epochs of time? Too? Um, some of them. A lot of Hyrule is dead in Breath of the Wild, no? I mean, yeah, but like, well, that's the thing. In Zelda, characters only die when you're not playing the game, right? And I think it's one of the charms of it. But like, okay, so I'm trying to be critical of the series, but also kind of like point out one of the things I kind of like about it that I find kind of like kitschy and homey about it. And I like, even if it is on some level not the best writing. Um, People in Zelda do die, but it's always before the events of the game or before you got to that region or something like that. Like, yeah, lots and lots of death has happened in Breath of the Wild by the time you start the game, but you never see like a non-story important NPC die before your eyes. Sometimes they're just reincarnated. Yeah, it's really complicated because sometimes even when they are reincarnated, it's like they're the same, but they're not the same. So it's very like the question: do characters in Zelda exist through the eons? Is like yes and no. As a landlord, I guess I appreciate you guys doing this all day and not bettering yourselves. Motherfucker, I make money on these streams. What do you mean? Not only that, but I own, I don't rent. F the haters or something. Thank you for the $1.99, Trevor Malley. I appreciate it a ton. You bought a home? Nope. Inherited. What is what? What is what? What are you asking about when you say what is that? Cool, get some roommates. That's how I started. No thanks. I have no interest in being a leech on society like a landlord. Do you recognize that symbol right there? Property is theft until the thieves are away. If we did this in a month, we'd be arrested and detained for dragging all our brains beyond the barbed wire chain and drinking on private land. Oh, you really should try it. It's quite lucrative. So is Maoism, as it turns out. And onion rings are hitting hard right now. Well, of course they are. Like, dude, that is one thing about door dashing food is that because you've spent so much on it, it kind of like hypes it up a little bit more in your mind. And by the time you eat it, you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. Excuse me. Maoism is pretty short, which is why China went mixed economy. Yeah, but it was pretty effective at achieving Mao's stated goals, wasn't it? No, I don't know. Listen, you're probably not going to find too many friends on this stream, but you're welcome to hang out and, I don't know, preach your capitalist vision from the rooftops if you want to, I guess. So soul destroying when it shows up from a place you haven't tried yet and it's horrible, but you paid out the ass for it. Oh yeah. If even like the hype you fucking built up for it in your head can't like make it better, that is the worst. Absolute the worst. Bro, lungs are black. My lungs are not black. You can kind of tell how bad your lungs are by like the color of what you cough up. And I don't really cough up anything that often to begin with, which is a sign that my lungs are still pretty good. I'm not one of those people who smoked since I was 13. I didn't start smoking cigarettes till I was 21, and I'm now 27. So I didn't really start smoking heavily until I was like almost 22, really. No, in fact, I was over 22, right? Let me think about this. Yeah. Yeah. Can we just have some words of encouragement for life on this crazy ass Thursday? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll repeat to you an adage that I gave to my chat a little bit earlier. Hope uh, binds us to unlivable situations and blinds us to real possibilities. Those real possibilities are within your grasp. And no matter how bad things look out there, no matter how much despair fills your soul and heart, you can use that as fuel for your fire in your fight against the rising tide of fascism. Not only that, but even if you're an apolitical person or whether you're political or not, there's a lot to love about life if you just take the earphones out, turn the phone off, and sit outside for a minute. I know it sounds trite and contrite, but um, it really is worth giving a shot. It'll reset your brain in a really spectacular way, and you'll realize why you fight for the things you fight for, whatever that is. And if you're not the kind of person that's fighting for anything, then you realize why it is you love the things you do. What there is in the world that's really worth preserving. Please tell me that everyone takes you as the joke you look. I don't think so, Eric. I actually feel like there's quite a few people who take me deadly seriously. Die mad about it. How do you pronounce your name, Phoebe? Like that. Phoebe. Feebee. Actually helped me, TBH. Thank you. Hey, I'm glad. Phoebe. I literally, dude, Brett Keane pronounces my name like that. By the way, I have figured out that I am Brett Keane's most hated A-log, and I really haven't done shit with the manatee in a while. I feel like it's about time for me to do some manatee poking again. But then again, he goes on fucking reporting sprees every time I fuck with his dumb ass, so part of me feels like it's not even worth fucking with. So I don't know. But there's a part of me that wants to... A part of me that misses the scum pond. Always look out for your content. Nice to see genuine humans out here. Hey! I try my best, yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like for a long time I was pretty awkward in front of the camera, but at this point I just try to like... There's a piece of advice I heard from a friend of mine named TJ Kirk a long time. It was like before I ever started making content, but it's something I've thought about ever since I heard it because I've always wanted to do this for a living, even for years when I wasn't really doing anything like with my channel at all. I would think like someday I'm going to have the equipment to start. Someday I'm going to crest 100 subs and I can, or actually for the longest time it was 1,000 subs you had to have in order to vertical live. You know, I didn't really do much with my channel for a long time, but there was this piece of advice that I heard him say years and years and years ago on a video that was like on one of those like Q&A videos or something like that. Somebody asked him, what's a piece of advice you would give to somebody starting out on YouTube or trying to get familiar and like avoid camera awkwardness? And it was like, treat the camera like it's your best friend or someone that you're just having a conversation with. And like, don't like just like let that be your fucking influence, you know, like let that be the guiding director of your behavior. Because if you can get that, like if you can get yourself in that mindset and you're already charismatic with your friends, then you'll also be charismatic in front of a camera. You still aren't doing anything with yourself? If you say so, friend. I feel like I've done quite a bit with myself over the last year and a half. You generally have an amazing charismatic personality. I made it. It feels like a FaceTime call. I swear to God. Aw, that's cool. I'm so glad to hear that. I really do try to be like a warm and inviting place. I mean, sometimes it's kind of like, you know, sometimes it's a little angry and angsty in here. It's not always positive for sure, but it's genuine. It's real. That we can be assured. How's the panty shield holding up? The what? Son, I don't know how terminally online you think I am, but you are clearly way, 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 way worse infected than I am. Hi, Post. This stream was 100% fact-checked by real patriots. Tell them, Trevor. Of course, Pinkfur. Of course, of course. A horse is a horse. Of course, of course. Genuine, real, and addicting. Oh, well, but he doesn't mention that. I don't know about that. It's actually funny. I went on Deep Fat Fried the other day, and it is wild. Every time I've went on there, there have been at least 2 or 3 comments that are like, oh my God, I fucking hate Phoebe. She's so horrible. She adds nothing to the show. Stop having her on. So, you know, I don't let those comments get to me. especially because I see comments like yours where it's like addicting. But I do keep them in mind, and I think of them whenever someone tells me, yeah, I just try to like keep a balanced keel, and that's part of how I do it is by reading the criticism as well as the positive stuff. You ever try and step outside of the echo chamber? I literally, like, I don't know if you've been around this channel for a long time, but this is literally a channel predicated on the idea of talking to people from outside your particular political bent. That's what, like, the whole project of this channel is about reaching outside and across the aisle to have conversations, to find common ground, to find areas of disagreement, to find areas of fracture and areas of mending. DFF with Phoebes, yeah, dude. It was fucking crazy. It was awesome. Phoebe, if you were just willing to eat hair cake, you could be a Japanese pop star. Well, I'm not gonna do it. 8.5 pound of beef jerky from CVS on a crippling gas. Okay, that's horrible. Post. I'm so sorry. That's awful. That's every guest. I know, dude. Literally, you could have like fucking I don't know. You could have Kyle Kalinske on, and there's gonna be some dumbasses in the fucking comments section complain about it. They could have Jesus of Nazareth on. There'd be some people bitching in the comments about it. It's not logical. These are not rational people we're talking about. How do you actually deal with the brain dead assholes? I cry into my super chat revenue. I agreed more with you, but I've seen Paul proven right too often. Listen, Paul is not Paul Stradamus. Just because he's right 90% of the time does not mean he's not still wrong 10% of the time, okay? I'm telling you, this is one of those 10% keyholes. And it's not a desirable outcome either. That's the more important thing. I know that I'm the last idealist left on Earth, you know? I understand that, but I believe in fighting for something, not merely against other things, So, like, I think that we should be trying to, like, it's literally when I say Reconstruction 2, I'm not talking about like a vague set of policies and like, ooh, fucking federal troops fucking with fucking red cities. That's not what I'm talking about. I am literally talking about federal oversight of elections, federal oversight of tax appropriations. Literally, that's all I'm asking. Federal oversight of state institutions broadly, but it needs to be focused on elections and tax appropriations because it is literally manipulation of tax funds and public funds in general that is responsible for a ton of the corruption. Like, that is the vehicle for most of the corruption that happens in the Deep South. And election interference is the other big mechanism of control. Federal oversight of these processes, direct, strict federal oversight of these processes, would, like it did during the first Reconstruction, radically change the politics of the South. The politics of the South already lean left. The electoral politics of the South are dominated by the right wing because there is a small group of 5 families in every county that control everything, that are the descendants of plantation owners who have, since the fucking Jim Crow era, engineered politics in the Deep South to their advantage and against the will of the people. This is a well-documented concern. This is a well-documented process. This is not crazy leftist nonsense from your local Mississippi trans girl. This is shit you can look up. Here's for your tears. Loves you. Thank you, Digital KO, for the $5. I appreciate that a ton. You guys are kind. I really do. Like, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it when you guys show out at the end of the month, because that's always like, it's always so cool seeing what that number is at the final, like at the end. It's like, that is the payoff for all the hard work, for all the intentional, like streaming around current events and having these conversations with you guys. It makes it all worth it. And I appreciate it a ton. I share the same sentiment as Paul on the whole national divorce thing. I understand. I just don't feel like it's a desirable outcome, nor is it a feasible one. I'm telling you, if you let the South, like the South is not just going to rot. I don't know why people think this. Like I feel like if I asked a lot of people, hey, do you think there are like factories in the South? They'd probably say like, no, not many. And it's just like, oh, dude, the South is pretty much the only place that kind of still has a manufacturing economy besides like parts of the Midwest, you know? Like there are like tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of companies that have factories down here to this day still operating, because the South's cost of living is so much cheaper and the wage standards are so much lower. The work, like the benefit standards are so much lower. Like people are accustomed to so little around here that they'll take way less than they would take anywhere else in the country. And that would just continue under the corporatocracy of the new Confederacy that would be formed by the, by the sundered South. And the South is rotting now. The South is rotting in the sense that it's like that its lowest caste of people are allowed to rot and fester and be the most disgusting example of poverty that America has to offer. But the South is not rotting in the sense that business is not happening here. Business is happening here. Big business all over. There is just like I'm telling you, like the deep South is what it looks like when fascism gains control of states. I've been telling people this for years, and they don't, either they don't believe me or they've got disagreements with me on the facts. But it's becoming more and more frustrating to hear people argue against the idea that the South is like just hopelessly festering in its own mucus and it's just going to like fall into the ocean over time. The South is rotting on purpose, is what I'm trying to tell you. The South is rotting because the people that own and control the South like the fact that the rot keeps the people who do work in the factories in line. What do you consider Southern? It's easier for me to tell you which states I would consider objectively and unequivocally Southern than to tell you a strict geographical boundary. So here's what I consider the states of the South. Texas, the undisputed states of the South. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia. Am I missing any? I don't think I am. I do not consider Missouri a southern state. It is a Midwestern state with lots of southern influence. Yep, northern Louisiana here, and we are broke as fuck here after working all week. I'm from Oklahoma. Yeah, dude. I have a tremendous southern audience, and I feel like a lot of you guys agree with me on the baseline facts when it comes to like people in the South are paid less than anybody else in the fucking country for the same work. And that is why there is so much business here. That's why there's so many jobs. People brag about all the jobs and the cheap cost of living in the South. What they don't understand is that is like, that's part of the foul bargain. Yeah, you get the cheap cost of living. Yeah, you can get a job at a factory, but you're not going to make enough to actually move forward in life. You're just going to make enough to afford like maybe you'll make enough to afford like a basic upgrade every now and again, but you're not going to be making like money just hand over fist unless you like really put a ton of effort into like moving up socially. But even if you're putting in effort like that, there are all sorts of things that can happen to a human being that can set them back or that can prevent them from going down the path they were going down. That can set. Life happens to people, and there is effectively no fucking safety net down here, and it's basically it's what keeps people in line. It's what keeps people going to jobs that pay them less than what they should be paid and not unionizing. COVID killed small businesses and the work ethic. Bullshit. Small businesses are fucking thriving. I see literally so many small businesses in like the downtown district that I can get to most closely whenever I go down there. Like, it seems like there are more than there was when I was a kid. Not only that, but the unemployment rate is lower than it's been in a long time. Like, the unemployment rate is at like record lows right now. So, nah. In places like Mississippi, when the wages are low, at least the cost of living is also low. In the Mountain West, where I am, wages are low and the cost of living is high. Yeah, I mean, that is like a really bad problem for sure. But I think that like the problem goes deeper, and it's hard for me to discuss it in its like completion, I think, because it's such a multifaceted problem. But like, there is a foul bargain that comes with living in the South that I don't think exists with the Mountain West. At least with the Mountain West, maybe not with Utah, but at least with a lot of states of the Mountain West. I can't speak for Utah because I've never been there. But at least with a lot of states of the Mountain West, it seems like, okay, yeah, you're not getting paid enough to live, really. So you're having to live like you're having to live like a lower standard of living than you should get to live for someone who does your type of job. Like, if you look at the global standard, you're like struggling and shit, but you've got good roads. The schools are generally pretty good. You've got like social services. There are like safety nets there. Now, there should be more, and there should be more regulation and more worker ownership of the means of production to help cut in on that massive disparity between what workers are paid and what they're expected to pay for their cost of living. But at least in the West, you get something with that bargain, right? There's not the disparity that exists here. The foul bargain that I keep mentioning when you live in the South is that, yes, you get a cheap cost of living and abundant jobs, but in return for those abundant jobs and that cheap cost of living, you get no loyalty from your workplace. You get practically no unionization. You get lower wages than anywhere else in the country. You get worse communities that are badly invested in. You get a really fucking like a horrible type of poverty that I don't know if there's a word for. I wish there was. There needs to be a word for it, where you're not homeless, but you're living in squalor. Like, some people think I live that way because like the fucking door is fucking ugly, but I don't live in this like outbuilding. I live in a trailer, but it's fucking kept up and maintained. Like, it's not leaking and shit. It's not falling the fuck apart. It's got some repairs need to be done. There's some fucking renovations in the process, but it's like fucking, from within the last 20 years and shit. It's fine. There are people, though, literally in the state that I live in, that live in camper shells and have for a decade, because I've seen the same damn camper shell with different shades of tarp on it every year. There are people that live in actual fucking shacks down here. Just out in the country, living in a fucking shack. And yeah, if you want to live that way, yeah, you should be able to. But a lot of the people that live that way are living that way because it's the only fucking way they can survive. Because there is no baseline down here. There's no alternative for them. There is no like waiting list that they can join for a taxpayer funded apartment somewhere in the city where they'd actually be able to like reliably get to work. But there are people that work that are living like that. And that's because that's what they've got access to. They've got inherited land like me, or like they've got like some patch of land that they were able to buy when they were doing pretty well, but then their house burned down or something, so they just had to fucking like start living in their trailer, and then they just never managed to like fully recover from that. And there is no social safety net for those people to live a different way, to try and recover. Most of the houses around me live in Australia are like that. People still live there quite happily. Well, I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to live there, but there should be a social safety net if you want to not live like that. Like, most people don't want to live in a rundown shack that they have to replace the tarp on every year because a new leak spring up. Most people don't want to live in a fallen down fucking camper shell with nothing to their name but the contents therein. Trump is just as terrible as all the rich, selfish presidents before him. In fact, groceries are now more expensive than ever. How could you say that with seriousness? I don't know if you're talking to me or somebody else, but yeah, like, Trump is literally a continuation of all of the worst excesses of previous American presidents. A lot of what he has done has drawn on things that were originally done by George Bush. Hey, keep it up, Phoebe. Left is best. Well, thank you. I appreciate the shout out, you know? Jesus loves you. Thanks. Yes, Trump is worse than Bush Jr., in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, I think pretty fairly, yeah. I guess, well, not yet. Maybe. Yes, he's worse than him 100% on domestic policy, 110% on domestic policy. But when it comes to foreign policy, there's a big war in the Middle East that's missing from Trump's record that permanently scours the record of George W. Bush. So, yeah, I guess it depends on whether this Iran thing happens. If Trump actually decides to engage in this long, drawn out, like, occupation and regime change in Iran, then yep, officially just as bad, if not worse. Trump doesn't have a 9/11. Well, fucking Bush didn't do 9/11, unless you believe the conspiracy people. But I think, like, you know, Bush didn't, like his connection to 9/11 is, it is weird, and I think that he did profit off of it, and I think, like, he was involved in allowing it to happen, but I don't think he, like, did it. I don't think he envisioned it. I can't actually remember the dude who envisioned it. A lot of people say Osama bin Laden, but nope. Osama bin Laden was merely the source of funding and recruitment for the plane's operation, which is what it was called by the jihadis. By the way, jihadis is a term we need to bring back, especially on the left, because it can help when you're trying to differentiate, like, okay, yeah, I care about the people of fucking Palestine, not about the damn jihadis, obviously. It's one of those things where, like, you can be more nuanced if you're talking to another leftist, like, but when we're talking to people that are, like, anti-Israel, or like critical of Israel's policies but generally pro-Israel or whatever, like, it can be useful to like use that old term, as long as you're not using it in a racist way, as long as you're using it to refer to actual jihadis. Like, you can't refer to all Palestinians as jihadis. But if you want to say, dude, I support the fucking Palestinian people, the people of Palestine, the regular fucking people of Palestine, I support the right to self-determination. I don't support the fucking jihadis. Do you have any black friends? I don't think I do currently. I have had black friends, but I don't know if I like. I don't know, man. I guess I do. Yeah, I do. I forget. I forget about Casey's ass, but he hasn't been in here in a minute, and I struggle with object permanence. Aria! Always support the innocent. There's no excuse to not support the innocent. Religion shouldn't overshadow humanity. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. There have been like 12 small businesses open in town since you left, by the way, on your small business point. Look at that. Look at that. So you're saying 12 new ones, right, Taylor? Well, yeah, dude. You don't have to participate in the chat. You can just fucking chill. Like, a lot of people watch these streams while they're doing the dishes or sleeping or something, you know? Am I violent? No. No, I mean, I cut with my words. Just ask Taylor. Yes, damn. Yeah, so little ass small town in Missouri. I think it's got like 4,000 people. I'm not going to say the name, but has had 12 fucking businesses, 12 small businesses open in town. When I was there, they had like at least a dozen, I'd say, maybe more. It was actually like it was a weird little town, dude. I don't know, man. It was the county seat, but it was so tiny. And it was just, there's just something magical about that town. I don't know, man. I don't know how to encapsulate it with words. There's just something magical about it. Is Main Street still open, Taylor? I feel like you told me that it closed. Don't be flirting with Taylor, Big Gassy D. That's so fucking weird, man. Oh, Big Gassy ain't classy. No, Main Street always open? Hell yeah, dude. Oh, okay, Taylor, I'm coming up there. I don't know when. There's developments that are going to happen later this year that hopefully will lead to me being in an economic situation where I can go do some things. I need to go to Missouri anyway, right? I have to go to Missouri anyway to settle an old bank account. And while I'm up there, I want to go visit and I want to fucking go to Main Street again. No, I also want to check out that place you were telling me about that has, you said it has pizza that's just as good as Mad Toppers. River Bottoms Brewery, I think it's called. Why did I just say it out loud? God damn it, I'm a fucking retard. Whatever, there's probably like 17 of those across the United States. I'm scared. I'm sorry, Taylor. Poor Taylor. Dude, I'm hard. I'll tell people that like know me IRL and find my stream. I'll be like, hey, make sure you don't dox me. But then I'll just be like, yeah, and that's why, you know. Good people, conservatives, but not the hateful kind. Hey, that's fine. Kind of like, full. Nope, not gonna say it. Not gonna say it. Kind of like the coffee shop. They also own the coffee shop? Okay, well, then that tells me exactly the vibe. I can handle that vibe. I mean, they're a brewery. How fucking conservative can they be, you know? No, can't be trusted then. Yeah, no, none of you sentimental bitches should ever trust me with a goddamn thing. If you trust me with your life, I will trip and fall and break it. You know, like medieval themed stuff? Dude, I used to be a member of a LARP group, live action roleplay. I guess I can just tell you guys the name of it. Fuck it, it doesn't matter. You can't trace it back to me. Park Hills live action roleplay back in the day when that was a thing. I used to play in that organization, I guess you'd call it. Really fun stuff. And what got me into it was Lord of the Rings, which definitely has medieval era influences and like a general interest in kind of like a vague and general interest in the medieval era. Although I will tell you, the more I learned about the medieval era, the more I was like, huh, there are lessons to be learned here. There's definitely an interesting story of history that tells you a lot about how we went from feudalism to capitalism, but this is no way to live. I do still like studying the weapons and the tactics and the fucking like castles and shit like that, though. Matt, what are you talking about now? What are you talking about now? What are you talking about, Matt? Dude, if you used to know me like pre-transition, if you dox me, I will unmod you and ban you so goddamn quick. Oh, you're just fucking with me. Okay. Yeah, I was about to say. I was about to say you were about to lose the goddamn crown, bro. I was prepared to fucking go fucking scorched earth on your ass, private this whole stream and everything. Please don't shoot up a school. I'm not a cisgender white man, so I'm pretty unlikely to do that. Eric Harris, Dylan Klebold, Dylan Roof, the Pulse nightclub shooter, the shooter in New Zealand, Pekka Eric Ovanen. Nicholas Cruz, yep. I always forget his name. But yes, the Parkland school shooter, Nicholas Cruz. All cisgender white guys. What does that say about the tendency among cisgender white men towards violence at the end of a gun? BB, you play any video games? I do. I like to unwind with a little bit of Monster Hunter World, actually. I have always been a huge Monster Hunter fan, and I'll play Monster Hunter World till they fucking make it to where you can't play it anymore, I guess, because Monster Hunter games are just so fun to me. They I feel like they're built. Okay, Monster Hunter games and me. I love this question, by the way, because it's basically just like, hey, talk about video games for 15 minutes. Why don't we? And so I love it. But um, to me, Skyrim and Monster Hunter scratch some of the same itches, which is to say, beautiful vistas that make you dream about what might be out there, wide explorability, and interesting lore. So there's like so much you can learn about Monster Hunter's like world, whether it's Monster Hunter World or Monster Hunter 3, MH4U, it doesn't matter which one it is. There's so much to learn about each of those worlds and the operative forces behind them, and the different resources and minerals and stuff like that. And there are so many beautiful vistas. Now, all of this can also be said about Skyrim. There's so much to learn about Skyrim. Sure, you can just play it like an action RPG and play it for fun and do what you have to do to get the quests and shit, but it invites you to take a deeper look, to consider things more deeply. Thank you for signing up for the membership, Digital KO. I appreciate that a ton. Since you signed up for the membership, let me plug that real quick. The membership is a great thing to sign up for if you're a regular around here and you want to make sure your chats get read. Because I will scroll up to catch a member's chat in cases like where I wouldn't for a regular pleb in a lot of cases. It's a great way to make sure that I'm like seeing your chats more reliably. Plus, there are streams of mine that become members only after they go live or after they go like post, right? If it's got less than 5,000 views, I usually make it members only. So if you want to watch some of my like more chill content, which is what that usually tends to be, gotta fucking sign up for that membership. Thank you for signing up, KO. I need to complete one more special order to achieve perfection on my farm. Nice. I rimmed the sky once. Did you? I've studied mycology taxonomy using Elder Scroll games before. Yeah, there you go. I think due to depression, I stopped playing video games. Oh man, that's fucking horrible depression if it makes you stop playing video games. A lot of people play video games the most when they're like going through a depressive spell. I just hate waiting a whole in-game week to find it. Oh yeah, I hate waiting mechanics in games in general. I guess I'm okay with it if I guess I'm okay with it in some cases, maybe. Like, I feel like Ark's got waiting mechanics, but they work well. Like, for example, resource replenishment. Like, you can fuck with the rates of resource replenishment, and they will for special events and shit like that. But ultimately, it's like a waiting game. You have these specific areas you know well, and you know that they're defensible and shit like that. What in the fuck? Anyway, you have these specific resource nodes that you know that you can that you're usually safe over there and everything else, and you go and harvest all that shit, and then you have to eventually move on to some other resource because you've exhausted all the nodes that you're familiar with, and you've got to let them replenish. And in that case, I'm okay with it because, like, the whole game's like, uh, how would you put it? Like the whole gameplay curve or whatever the whole gameplay loop. That's what I'm trying to think of. The gameplay loop is intrinsically based around grinding and gathering different resources. So it's like fine when you deplete a certain resource, you just move on to a different resource, preferably one in different areas from the original one. And if you've got 12 hours away to grind, you can just continuously cycle through different resource nodes. Nice to have you indeed. Don't play EVE Online then? That whole game is waiting? Yeah, dude. That whole game is waiting from what I've heard. One of the reasons why I haven't like wanted to play it. I don't know. I am interested in getting into some new games, but I need to upgrade my computer first. It is already starting to show signs of its age because it was a pre-built, and I need to upgrade it. I need to get it some fucking... I want to see how far I can push this little motherboard that it's got. But I need to definitely get it some new, nice new RAM. If it doesn't already have a solid state drive, then I need to replace its fucking disk drive, or add on to its disk drive with 2 like terabyte or more solid state drives. Need to upgrade its processor. Let me think here. It could do with a graphics card update too. But yeah, if I can upgrade the graphics card, the RAM, and the fucking processor, I think it'll be a pretty competent little computer. And at that point, I can consider getting some more intense games. GPU is the name now? Yeah, no, for sure. I do know that I need to get me a new GPU. I also know that those other things matter too, especially if you want to stream, and I do stream from my desktop an increasing amount. So that is going to be the direction I focus, is like upgrading my GPU in tandem with my processor, my RAM, and some like storage space. Basically want to get just the OS running on the disk and then get everything else running on solid states. And maybe I'll store like photos and shit like that on the solid disk, or you get what I'm saying, the hard drive. Replace CPU, RAM, GPU, motherboard. Well, that's the thing. Is like a motherboard can take you quite far, honestly. From what I understand, motherboards are not usually the fucking bottleneck to speed in any given computer. Are you big on PC gaming? Can I tell you my specs? You can. I don't know to what end, but yeah, sure. I don't know what the specs are on mine. It's a pre-built HP. Um, I think it's got either 8 or 16 gigs of RAM, and I don't remember how many. It does have a dedicated graphics card. I think like I think it's got 2 gigabytes of video RAM, or maybe 4. That's just crazy, by the way. I can't believe our games have gotten so beautiful and complex that they require like double-digit numbers of gigabytes worth of storage in total RAM usage across our computers framework. Do you have any idea how much information that is? Like, the human brain can't even comprehend how much information it is. Not really. Not functionally. Two gigabyte RAM GPU. That is a split. A spud. Would you consider yourself as passing? I think it depends on like what outfit I'm in, how my hair looks, whether I've opened my mouth. I hear spring peepers. Beautiful. Amazing. Good specs. Let me see. Ryzen 5, 5600X, 32 gigabyte RAM, 3070. Yeah, those are really good specs. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're doing way better than me. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with what you've quoted at me so far. Those are definitely way better specs than what I'm working with. I like AMD stuff. I don't know about other people, but I do. What do you think about Bill Clinton? I think he got his dick sucked by a president. I think Monica Lewinsky wasn't the only person who got a little cum on her outfit. Let me put it this way, I did not have sex with that woman, but I did receive a blowjob from that man. I got it for 200 on FB Marketplace. It's not bad. Facebook Marketplace has amazing deals, and if you've got the money like sitting around, you can afford to get something off of there. You'd be shocked at the kind of shit you can get. When people get desperate to sell, like it's crazy the amount of profit they'll lose out on. My 2 armchairs for $20 just because they were moving. I know, right? I keep turning my light off, getting ready to settle in, and then I keep getting up to smoke some more Cuba. Dude, relatable. Relatable concern. Dude, I was such a fucking insane person when I first started smoking. Now, there's one thing I've always been able to do when high, and that's play music. It's pretty much the only thing I can do when I'm high sometimes. If I'm like super stoned on edibles and shit, might be the one thing that I'm able to actually cogently do. But for the most part, I'm pretty normal when I'm stoned now. I might be like more prone to laughter. I might be a little more personable, et cetera, et cetera. But when I first started smoking, oh my God. Being a baby stoner is great because weed is just like the fucking coolest and most potent drug in the world. I used to not be able to stop laughing for like the first few years of smoking. For me, it was like the first year. After the first year, I pretty much got accustomed to like I still get into laughing fits to this day. I mean, you guys have it happen to me all the time. Like the other day, I watched a bunch of YouTube poops and I got real stoned on stream, and by the end of it, all I could think about was those YouTube poops that I'd watched earlier. And it was about the Turning Point USA halftime show. And I just kept thinking about all the different fucked up songs that they made based off the song that was saying, it was like, I just want to kiss my fish. I just want to lick my beer. I just want to fuck my truck. And it was great. And now it's not even funny, but like then I kept thinking of different iterations of it, and it was literally like the funniest fucking thing in the world. But back in the day when I was like a baby stoner, that I would get not even all that high, but I would start to get like pretty stoned, and I would just become more and more and more jovial. And then I went through a period where I would not necessarily get jovial, but just kind of like carefree. I don't know. It's weird. My relationship with pot has definitely evolved and aged as I have. You know that song that goes, and when I'm back in Chicago, I feel it? Yep, I do. Silas loved that song. For about a week straight, I've been singing, and when I poop my pants, I pee a bit. Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. That's so fucked up. Oh man, that's fucked up. What a depraved brain. Dopey, you're stupid as fuck. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh fuck. I'm gonna die. Oh no. Oh shit. Okay, I'm fine. I just like literally I fucking like choked myself out by laughing and coughing. What are you in here? fucking slutting yourself out for Trump. Fucking like 2 hours the stream. Why? Well, of what benefit is it to you? Like, is it pleasure? Because that's fine. I don't slut shame. Oh my god. I just want to spill my bong. What is Trump gonna give W? Like, well, it's the satisfaction. I want to know. Me too, dude. I'm just curious. Like, what's the payoff? Is there a payoff? Probably not. We always want there to be a payoff. There never is. And just some dullard that couldn't have passed the 4th grade if they weren't helped through it the whole way, you know? What are you gonna do? Motherfucker dropped out of 5th grade to plow the fields. You know, like, there's no accounting for lack of a fucking schooling. I did not have sexual relations with that man. Oh my god, man. This is the most absurd timeline. Things have never been weirder, and I don't know what to talk to you guys about at this point, because it's just like, you done know. You already know. Alrighty, well, I'm going to go ahead and go, I think. It's been a long night, but, you know, hasn't been the most productive night ever, but that's fine. We did good. I feel like we had a fun conversation, and that's what counts. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, as usual. I hope you will join me tomorrow for another stream. Peace and love. Peace and love.